Hello, friend. John Dalton here for the Emergence podcast, where we go into consciousness, love, the mystery. And in this episode, we're going to explore suffering in silence, flowing with life, Namaste for humans, being perfect, finding yourself, and a question about the end of therapy. But before that, let's have a quick review of the memes on the Further Emergence Instagram feed. I didn't write this one, and I nearly didn't post it because it starts off with, "Can we please stop?" And normally when I come across anything like that, it's like those posts that say, you're probably not going to share this, or you're probably not going to read it, or only my friends will read it. I saw another meme in response to that saying, if you start a post saying, you're probably not going to share this, you can be guaranteed I am not going to even read it. And I'm kind of in that camp. I just find those very manipulative and, they're not real at all. They're no true test of friendship, because it's like Dave Chappelle saying, he got into trouble, on Twitter. He was like, I was dragged all over the place in Twitter. He said, but I don't care, because Twitter's not a real place. There's something beautiful about that. So grounding, It's like, yeah, social media, it doesn't exist. It's not a real thing, It's not like the town, everyone in the town is shunning you, It's not the case at all. So, yeah. When I read this, "Can we please stop?" I was like, okay. But I persisted with it because what it says is very good. So it says, "Can we please stop associating strength with someone's ability to smile through tears and suffer in silence? Strength is being brave enough to talk about what's hurting you on the inside." It's so true. It's so true that it isn't even... the worst part about this is it's not like people are out there going, yeah, could you just suffer in silence, please? Could you? Yeah, I don't want to hear that. That's not happening. In fact, the opposite. People are imploring other people to talk about their feelings. This meme is speaking directly to you on the inside and me on the inside, because it's on the inside that I kind of go, I can't tell people what's really going on, because people will be weird. They'll behave weirdly. They won't appreciate it. They'll say, "How are you today?" And I'll go, "I'm terrible. I'm just falling apart on the inside. I'm having such a really hard day. It's not going well. In fact, my life's not going that great." The person is like back on their heels going, "God, okay. What do I. So on the inside, we're going, I can't do that. I can't say what's going on for me. I can't tell people really. They don't really want to know. They're just being, polite. They're just saying, "How are you?" They just want me to say, "I'm great, thanks." And then we'll continue on and. And that's true. It's actually true. When you bump into someone in the supermarket, unless they're a really good friend, they don't want you to tell them. They don't want you to download all that stuff on them. But there are people in your life who do care about you, who do want to hear about it, but in a controlled way, you might ring them up and say, "I'm not having a great day." It's that thing of just getting over the hump of calling them or calling into them, or just, being honest with them when you can, because this thing is what's going on the inside. That we kind of go, "Oh, I must be strong. I must suffer in silence. I must smile through my tears." Nobody wants you to smile through your tears. Yes, it makes people awkward if you cry in public. That's just a thing, particularly if it's over the frozen peas in the supermarket or whatever. If you've ever come across anybody grieving, God, I'm working with this one person who told me they were overcome with grief in the supermarket, and somebody actually did tell them to pull themselves together. In real life, that was a real life thing that happened, and I'm not judging the person who said that. It probably triggered something in them, maybe their grief, and they were like, "God, it's hard enough for me to not be crying over the frozen peas here. You know, you crying over the frozen peas is really triggering for me, because my tears are very close to the surface, you know. And that comes out as, God, can you pull yourself together, you know? So I understand that, but still, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard. But the really difficult thing is on the inside. We have all this thing of like, I can't tell people, I can't let people know, I can't reach out. There's no one to reach out to, which of course is not true. There's always people to reach out to, you know. Even like sometimes the anonymity of social media makes it very much easier to reach out. Not in a broadcast kind of way, like I'm making a post about how terrible things are. You can do that if you need to, but there are people you can connect with and direct message behind the scenes and just say, yeah, it's not going well. I'm not doing good, you know. And there are lots of people who understand about mental health, who are not therapists or anything like that. They've just been through it and they know how important it is to reach out. And I've seen people make posts of, if you're going through anything, DM me, here's my phone number, call me, don't suffer in silence. So that's a great message. Don't suffer in silence, because you don't need to. All right, next one. I didn't write it. I don't know who wrote it, but it's very good. It's very simple. It's a sort of meme I wish I'd written, because it's so concise. It just says, whatever comes, let it come. Whatever stays, let it stay. Whatever goes, let it go. And that's beautiful poetry. Extremely hard to live. It's very hard to live that, because, you know, it kind of conjures up this image of being, you know, at one with the universe, and I'm just flowing, and, you know, and I am all those things, and I'm sure you are as well. But whatever comes, let it comes. You know, if you happen to be in the Ukraine when what was coming was the Russian army, well, that's not easy to just let it come, you know. Whatever stays, let it stay. If that happens to be someone coming to live in your house, you sort of said, yeah, you could come for the weekend. 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, they're still there. You know, you've hinted like crazy. They still haven't moved out. They haven't gone. You've flat out told them, okay, you've got to go. They're still there, you know. So whatever stays, let it stay. Not easy to do, you know. Maybe it's cancer. Maybe cancer is coming, you know. How about saying, oh, whatever, let it stay? You know, hang on a minute. I don't want to let cancer stay, you know. Same again. And then whatever goes, let it go. Maybe it's the love of your life. Maybe it's your soulmate. Maybe it's your child. Maybe it's your beloved pet. Maybe it's your car. Maybe it's all your money. Maybe it's your personality. You know, something really valuable. So yeah, it's true. And the great touchstone that we all have for this is deep dreamless sleep. Because in deep dreamless sleep, it all goes. You know, everything goes every night. And it doesn't bother us. You know, it's not like we're clutching onto the bed sheets going, I can't go to sleep. I don't want it all to stop. No, we run to sleep. We say we're running to sleep. What we're really running to is a bit of a break from it all, a bit of a break from existence. So in terms of letting it all go, that's pretty easy. But whatever comes, let it come. Whatever, you know, stays, let it stay. And I suppose it's how comfortable you are with the process of becoming more conscious. Because in order to become more conscious, you become more conscious of what you were previously unconscious of. And that all sounds lovely, but what was our unconsciousness is often, certainly in my case, embarrassing, cringy. It makes me feel awful, you know, particularly maybe I just become conscious that I've been unconsciously manipulating someone. That's no fun. Or maybe I become aware that I've been unconsciously cruel to someone. That's awful. Maybe I become aware that I've unconsciously been really arrogant, you know, or really rigid or whatever. It's never comfortable. It's never comfortable becoming more conscious, but that's the process. That seems to be the process we're all in. Everyone's becoming more conscious. Beautiful, fantastic, but it's not a comfortable process. And it's summed up in this meme. Whatever comes, let it come. Because what comes often comes to help us become more conscious. We draw all these different things to us. Now, I'm not saying that's for definite, because I don't want to make you feel bad if you're in a difficult situation and you're sort of going, what, I brought this to myself? I don't know. I choose to look at it that way myself, because I feel much more empowered by doing that. I feel much more empowered in my life when I take the perspective that I draw all this to me to help me become more conscious. But I'm not saying that's the truth. And if you are in a terrible situation and you are very, I do not want this, no part of me wants this, that's fine. And that's true for you. Who knows? I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that's the perspective I choose to adopt. So whatever comes, whatever stays, whatever won't go, it's like, God, why won't this thing go? I'm sick of it. I think I'm sick of it. I'm finished with it. But still there. It's not budging, For me, I take the perspective of, okay, this is helping me become more conscious. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. I don't understand why it's here. I don't understand what I'm supposed to be becoming more conscious about, but okay. And then whatever goes, let it go. Same, my little heart might be breaking with something going, something I'm really attached to, and I let it go in the same way, that I just feel like it's part of the process of becoming more conscious, which is generally uncomfortable. But that's just me. What do you think? Who's that? I think it's Russell Brand, isn't it? Russell Brand always says that. That's just me. What do you think? So, okay, I'm channeling Russell Brand. Next one, I did come up with the image. It was inspired by the image. So it's an image, I think it must be photoshopped or something. God, I hope it's photoshopped, because it's a woman, and she has a man by the foot. And she has him above her head like she is swinging him like an axe by the foot. So she's about to cartoon kind of wham him into the ground by his foot. And it's great. It's a great image because it really conveys what's about to happen. And there was something about it that just triggered this out of me. So what I wrote is, It's a man, which is Namaste backwards. And that's how it goes sometimes. Instead of the Buddha in me sees the Buddha in you, it's the pain in me sees the pain in you, and it pulses with resentment and regret and righteous anger. The Buddha in me just smiles and waits without waiting for the storm to blow through, for the clouds to part, and the light of compassion to warm my heart and co-shine with you again. Namaste. So, probably like me, when you heard of Namaste first, it's always in the kind of Hollywood thing where someone says something terrible or something to somebody, and then they go Namaste at the end of it, and like the first time I heard it, I was like, what's that? What's Namaste? And then you look it up and it's like, oh, the Buddha in me sees the Buddha in you. Oh, that's nice. I like that. I like the sound of that. The Buddha in me sees that. That's what they're saying when they're doing the Namaste thing. That's what they mean. Oh, yeah, that's good. But that kind of led me to thinking about it. It's like, God, it's so often it's the complete opposite. It's the pain in me sees the pain in you. And that's what I react to, And then following that line of thought through, it's like, yeah, but the Buddha in me is unmoved by that, Emotions just blow through. They're like the clouds. They're like the weather. It changes. And certainly the weather in Ireland at the moment. We have summer it's usually for a couple of hours every day, and then it's back to rain. Or we have rain for a while, but we are getting the 4 seasons every day here at the moment. So yeah, the emotions, the pain, it blows through, it passes, and then it comes again. I had to turn a light on there. It was getting a bit dark. Next one I didn't write. Somebody who's a little bit better at writing than me wrote it. It's a quote from John Steinbeck, who's the author of Mice and Men, The Grapes of Wrath, East of Eden. I haven't read any of those books. I think I've seen East of Eden. I probably saw The Grapes of Wrath as well. Anyway, I just really like it. The quote says, "And now that you don't have to be perfect, you can be good. I think he's talking about writing. I mean, he's a Nobel Prize winner for literature, but so I think he's talking about writing. And I suppose any artistic endeavor. There's another famous quote from Salvador Dali who says, "Don't worry about perfection; you'll never reach it." And that's true. And it is, the idea of like letting go of being perfect, then you can get on with being good. That's true as well. But I think it really is a good thing to think about in terms of, we all have shopping lists on the inside of, we have an idealized version of ourselves on the inside that we compare ourselves to. Everything, our actions, our words, our looks, everything about us, we compare to this almost inverted Dorian Gray kind of picture in the attic, except it's the perfect version of us. Completely not related to who we are. It's something that we construct from unconsciousness, from things that were said to us. And then we beat ourselves up for not being this idealized version. And this is a good little reminder of letting go of that, because the idealized version is the perfect version, which is not the real version. It's not a true reflection of who we are. So it's lovely. Now that you don't have to be perfect, you can be good. And being good is good. It's good enough. I didn't write this one, but it's brilliant. It says, in inverted commas, "Finding yourself," end quotes, "is not really how it works. You aren't a $10 bill in last winter's coat pocket. You are also not lost. Your true self is right there, buried under cultural conditioning, other people's opinions, and inaccurate conclusions you draw as a kid that became your beliefs about who you are. Finding yourself," in inverted commas again, "is actually returning to yourself, an unlearning, an excavation, a remembering who you were before the world got its hands on you." So it's kind of like what I was saying just a minute ago about this idealized version. And this whole idea of finding yourself, I need some space to find myself. I need to go away to find myself. It is. It's funny the way they've put it. You're not a $10 bill down the back of the couch that you have to find. It is a process of unraveling or preening. I like to think of it as preening. You're sort of removing things that are not you, that you know are not you, beliefs that you have about yourself, ways of being, ways of talking, people that you associate with, programs that you watch. Finding yourself is, as they say, an excavation. It's a revealing of what makes your little heart sing, what really resonates with you, who you truly are, and settling into that and being comfortable with it and being okay to cry at movies or laugh inappropriately at whatever things make you laugh, or dress whatever way you want to dress, sing whatever way you want to sing, whatever. But particularly letting go of all this really cruel stuff that can go on inside, judgments, which are very subtle. They can be so part of the inner landscape, you don't even notice. You don't even notice it. I notice it a lot in the one-to-one work that I do with people. But it's easy for me to notice because I'm not in their body. I mean, if we switched positions, they would probably notice all the things that I do unconsciously. But it's so obvious how hard we are on ourselves, and how even though we don't want a particular reality, we keep defaulting back to it because it's almost like we're afraid to let it in, that it could be different. So that's like the idea of devil's advocate. When you think that, when you just like pause for a moment, because people say it like it's a useful thing. It's like, I'm just being devil's advocate, and then they dump all this negativity that's clothed in practicality. I'm just being devil's advocate. If you just stop for a minute, and go, hang on. The devil, if the devil is a real thing, which it's not, but if the devil was a real thing, they don't need an advocate. They're sort of really powerful apparently, and they're doing all sorts of terrible things anyway. They don't need you to be on their behalf. They don't need you to advocate for them. Because that's what the person is saying. It's like, hang on, I've got a call here from the devil. Yes, he's saying your plan's going to fail. Yeah, it's going to fail miserably. Yeah, you're going to run out of money and you're not competent enough. Yeah, you don't have it in you. Yeah, that's from the devil. It's not me. It's the devil. He just called me. Sorry, I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. That's what the person's saying. Devil's advocate. Okay, next one I did right. And I don't always get it together to post this one, but because it's time sensitive, I have to post it on a Saturday morning, because what it says is, Saturday morning comes with pillows and silence. Time to stretch the morning toes and relish the nowhere to be. You did a lot this week, more than you can know. Love yourself a little and have a second sleep. It's one of life's great luxuries to be able to have a second sleep, you know. Regularly when I post this, people go, well, you obviously don't have children. You don't have small children. And no, I don't have small children. But even with that, you know, we make our lives very busy. And it doesn't always happen on a Saturday for me. But on the days when I have that time and I can have a second sleep, I have two dogs and a cat who like to be fed at the same time every morning. So I kind of have to get up for them. I'm not saying they're the same as small children, but it's, you know, when you don't have to get up for something like that and you can kind of roll over and give yourself the gift of having a second sleep, it's beautiful. And the thing that's easy to miss in this is as well that you did a lot this week. I'm not talking about the outside stuff. That's probably true as well. You probably did do a lot this week, but I'm talking about the inside stuff. You know, a week is a long time in the inner life, and we don't give it enough credit. We don't, you know, like, it's tiring. It's exhausting moving all this stuff around, becoming more conscious. It's lovely when you become more conscious, but it can be a difficult process. So sleep is one of those beautiful things that you can have a little rest from it all. You know, you can go into deep dreamless sleep and forget about it all. Have a little rest. It's a lovely gift to give yourself. Acknowledging, yeah, I covered a lot of ground this week. A lot of consciousness, a lot of new consciousness going on there. I'm going to have a second sleep. Now, in response to the question I posted on Instagram, what's the biggest challenge you're facing in your spiritual life at the moment? Somebody said, saying goodbye to my therapist. I asked them to elaborate. They hadn't got back to me at the time of recording, so I'm just going to imagine what I think they mean. Because I'm very familiar with this process because of the one-to-one work and the years, you know, like I've been working with people for 30 years now. That's a long time. Lots of people, thousands of people at this stage. And I've trained a lot of therapists, so I kind of, you know, and one thing is quite easy to, well, let me just say, depending on the therapy, there's generally a timescale for that particular therapy. So if you're in psychoanalysis, that can go on for your whole life, you know. If you're doing something like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, I'm not a cognitive behavioral therapist, but, you know, from what I understand, there's a limit, you know, it's a certain amount of time because it's very focused. So you're talking weeks, you know, maybe it's 8 weeks, maybe it's longer, but there is a time when it finishes. If you're interested in rapid resolution therapy, that apparently is 1 or 2 sessions. Okay, I haven't found that to be the case myself, but then that could be just me. But it wasn't much more than that, you know. So that's a short time span, you know. If, like, the people I work with, one-to-one, generally it's 8 to 16 weeks. That's generally the kind of time frame I work, somewhere between that. Sometimes it goes longer. Just depends on the person. It's a hard thing for me to say because I'm working in the mystery, and it's the mystery running the show. So I just have to, you know, pick a kind of an average that from experience. But yeah, sometimes it goes longer, sometimes it can go shorter as well. But that's kind of the time scale with mine. But either way, from both sides, as a therapist or as the person going to the therapist, the thing to think about it in terms of, or a helpful way to think about it, is as a chapter in your life. Okay, it's very easy as therapists to feel like it's the whole book. It's like I've got to get this person, all the way from the beginning to the end, and it's important. It's all on me, and it's like it's not. It's you're a chapter in the person's life. In the long journey of the person's life, you're walking beside them for a while, through a particularly difficult part, maybe, so that you can help them, that you can support them as you're going along. That's certainly the way I see it. And there's a very obvious beginning, a middle, and an end. And that's at the end. That's when we kind of go, great, have a lovely life. And if you need any further help down the track, give me a shout. But if not, I'll see you and have a lovely time, kind of thing. And it's just part of the natural flow of everything else that goes on in life. Everything. I'm starting to feel like I'm going to quote the Bible here. There's a season for things. There's some quote there floating around the back of my mind. But everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Whether that's, as I say, a pet, a relationship, a job, a house, you name it. Very little stays constant throughout your whole life. So it's not unnatural to get to the point where it's time to say goodbye to your therapist. And I know in my case, it's an important time. Like generally when I see people, I see them every week. And that's really important at the beginning to help their system get up some momentum. I think any longer than 2 weeks, everything just takes longer. But at the other end, towards the end, we start to stretch it out. It's not a case of 8 weeks straight or 12 weeks straight, and then at the end it's like, see you. I generally will sort of start to see the person every 2 weeks, then maybe every 3 weeks, maybe every month, so that they can sort of feel that they're supported and that their system, they can feel how their system is now under its own steam. Because I know in my case, I don't want people to become dependent on seeing me. I want them to, get what they came to me for and then be able to sustain that themselves and continue on. So there's a natural point where you have to get your legs under yourself and to be able to support yourself and eventually kind of finish. It's important to finish because, as I say, it's great to get help. It's great to get support, but then it's also good to see that it's you doing it. Like, when people sort of say, "Oh, can you help me?" Like, yeah, I can help you, sure, but all I'm doing is supporting your system to do what it's already trying to do. I can't make your system do anything, and that's important to know because you don't want to be disempowered in the process. You want to know this is all that's happening here. It doesn't matter what the therapy is. All that's happening is the therapist is supporting me and my system to do what it's designed to do, what's naturally trying to do, whether that's become more conscious, become more healthy, become more spiritual, doesn't matter. It's coming from inside you, and it will sustain. So, yeah, we're humans, we get attached to everything. But it's always our unconsciousness that gets attached, and it's our unconsciousness that will have trouble letting go of things. Like the therapist, like, what am I going to do? Will I be able to do it? I really liked, hanging out with the person. I really like what they had to say. There's all that as well, But it's good to kind of go, yeah, something deep inside me brought me to the therapist, brought me through the process, and will continue to support me for the rest of my life and beyond. All right, that's all I have for you this week. Trust you're well. I trust you're of good cheer. And I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.